guys, welcome back. So just got done talking with the sales dude here at Imperial Sport Bikes. Shout out to them. That was an amazing test ride experience. But here's the problem. We looked at numbers and there's a significant gulf from where I thought we would be. And I have a feeling that this video is probably going to get cut short just simply because my battery is like almost dead. It's having way too much fun recording stuff. And I didn't bring my second battery, so I apologize for that in advance. But I got some stuff to think about because the used market right now on these F3s is not good. It's basically saying that it's worth $15,500 in the used market, even for a brand new one. It's worth about $15,500 because the dealers have been sitting on them for so long, which is not great. It does not help my case. Whereas, you know, used Tuonos are probably holding their value much better. So that brings up an interesting point too. Should I even waste my time getting a brand new 26, a used 25 or 24? Is there really that much of a difference between the 26 and the 25 and 24 model years? I don't know that there really is. Other than obviously the engine's been beefed up. That might be something I need to look at a little closer, to be honest. Because if that's the case, then why would I bother spending that extra money just getting, you know, a 26? So yeah, I really need to look at numbers and look at values a little more closely. Because I mean, granted to him, he's literally knocking $1,000 off of his brand new bike for me. I really got to do some soul searching here to kind of find an answer, because right now I don't really have an answer. And I got to definitely talk to the wife, because I'm sure she's probably not going to be thrilled about this. She's probably going to be like, why the fuck are you looking at another bike already? It is what it is. It's a good learning experience though, coming off of having something so spectacularly unique that nobody wants to really ride them because they don't know enough about them and they think that they're basically just maintenance queens. Which, to a certain degree, I would agree with. They do have kind of a bad reputation. But this bike is so low in mileage. It just had its first service, and it's so heavily modified with good parts that it just doesn't make any sense to me why the hell I would go through that process of fucking re-breaking in a bike all over again, when I could probably just get a used one and be done with it and not have to worry about fucking breaking shit in. He does bring up a really good point though. The tariffs are actually influencing the price tags of all the models that are coming in from Aprilia. Ducati's doing it, MV's doing it, everybody's doing it, because tariffs are basically just jacking up the price tags of everything that are coming across, which it sucks for the consumer, but it also does mean what we're paying is essentially paying what the government is raking in from those countries. The government's making more money, so theoretically, but people are also making less money by buying imports. Now, the one way to obviously get around that is to buy imports from countries that are not getting heavily tariffed, or buying American. And unfortunately, America doesn't really build bikes like this. So there we go. That was my first hit on this bike at full tilt since getting off the V4 Tuono. This bike is still quick. It's still a fast bike. No doubt about that at all. It just doesn't have the same effect as that Tuono did, because that Tuono, when I jumped on it, it took off like a fucking rocket ship. This takes off, but not in the same sense, not in the same way. It's much more linear power delivery, not quite as aggressive, I'd say. I don't feel like I have to clench up quite as much on this bike versus the Tuono. The Tuono, I feel like I got to clench up on it a little bit to really stay in the saddle, just because of how much power that thing kicks out. There's my direct comparison, back to back, coming off of that bike to this bike. I still like this bike, don't get me wrong, I love it. But in terms of comfort, obviously this is a true sport bike. The suspension is very firm, very bouncy on highway shit like this. It's not nearly the same experience. That EC2 suspension that's on that factory bike is just sublime. This is a much more hardcore experience. It's a much more hardcore bike by design. And the hilarious thing is, like, despite the fact that I'm so leaned over on this thing, the wind is hitting me almost exactly the same way that it was on the Tuono, despite being in a much more comfortable position, which is wild as hell to me. I mean, literally back to back, I can feel the exact same sensations on this bike in terms of wind buffeting, but the biggest difference is I was in a much more comfortable position than I am right now. The leg bend and everything is like almost identical. It's everything upper torso related that's different. I think if anything, the leg bend's actually a little more comfortable than this. Not by much, but a little more. But yeah, the ride position is definitely more inclined for comfort than it is for all-out speed and performance. So yeah, I got a lot to think about. Because here's the bitch: this bike turns another year older next year, which is not going to help its value, not even a little bit. And by trading it, I don't have to deal with tax-related implications. Trying to sell this right now, private party, probably not the best idea. We're getting into that part of the season where nobody's really thinking about buying bikes. They're thinking more about winter is coming kind of shit, like Game of Thrones. I don't know. It was a very, very fun bike. That power and that ride position and the suspension, everything about it just kind of stuck with me. I will say the fit and finish is okay. It's not like amazing, but it's not bad either. The quick shifter is good. It's very smooth compared to this. This is very like pow, you know, like a rifle shot. Whereas that's much smoother. But it's like something that I did mention to him. I did mention on the test ride was the gear shifter itself felt a little loose. So I don't know. Maybe they'll look at that, but otherwise, no complaints there. But yeah, fit and finish. Like looking at my cockpit versus like coming off of that Tuono, like the plastic quality and everything on that, and it could have just been dirty. But the plastic quality on that thing just didn't seem nearly as nice as this bike, which makes sense, right? I mean, this is a trellis frame, hand-assembled machine. It's kind of bespoke in the sense that they just don't really make that many machines. Whereas Aprilia pumps out quite a few more motorcycles per year across its range. You know, MV, they produce, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000 bikes a year, and that's for the whole market. That's why the F3R, you don't see any of them past 2023. They just, you know, they did like one run of those for 23, and then they started focusing on Turismos and RCs, you know, Reparto Corse, and Competiciones. which are all beautiful trim levels, but in my opinion, I love the F3R simply because it's the cleanest. It's the cleanest version. It's very beautiful just in its own right because it doesn't have all the wings and everything hanging off of it. I will say the styling on the Tuono is actually a lot better than I thought it'd be. It actually looks very nice. It's not very garish by any means. It's kind of got its own type of beauty to it. There is something to be said, though. It makes me kind of wonder if these guys are actually giving me a solid deal, or if taking this thing back to Faye Myers meant that I would do significantly better. That's actually a really good question. I might actually just go stop by there and bug Austin, my sales guy at Faye Myers, real quick and see what he says. Now if I could just figure out how to get over without being squished. He's probably going to look at me like I'm a crazy person coming to see him again, but I have a legitimate question this time, and he might actually be more inclined to give me a straight answer on it. So, whew, that was a fun conversation. So, here at Faye Myers, shout out to them because I love these people so much. Austin, my sales guy for this bike, did me a solid. So did their head sales dude for the Italian joints, the Italian bikes. They looked at this deal from Imperial, and despite it being actually a really great deal, they kicked their ass. There's no two ways about it. They kicked their ass. So the numbers on Imperial's deal was like $6,200 and some change out the door, right? Faye Myers just beat them by a little over $500 after the taxes got sorted out and everything. So what we're looking at here realistically is $5,500 out the door versus $6,280 something. So if you think about it, it's a little over a $500 difference. We're talking more like $700 and something dollars. I'd have to put the numbers up on the screen, but big difference. They set me up with a killer deal. And one of the biggest differences is the fact that they actually calculated the taxes correctly, whereas the dudes at Imperial did not. So, big difference in money, I would say. I mean, $700 is close enough to this side of $1,000 difference that it's a hell of a lot better deal. And the beauty, the real beauty of this is I'm not getting a 26 with 20 some odd demo miles on it. Oh no, I'm getting one brand spanking new on top of all of this. So it's a much, much better deal all the way around. And it's a factory, so it's got the EC suspension and all that jazz. It's not even a standard model with the SAC suspension. So, I don't even have to think twice about this deal. This is such a good deal in terms of an upgrade that I am like not even kidding you. I would be fucking stupid not to do it. A brand new Tuono V4 factory to upgrade off of this for basically a little over $5,000. That's a fucking win in my book. Especially given the fact that there's a good number of these out there that are going for like 15.5-ish. And they have the burden now of trying to sell this at that limit. It sucks that I lost that value. Yes, it's not great, especially given how good this machine is. I don't love the fact that it lost that much value, but when you consider what I'm paying in taxable difference, especially to register that the Tuono, and the substantial step up in terms of performance that I'm getting for what's arguably a much, much more like superior bike overall. Fuck, I mean, I can't argue with that for $5,000. I mean, shit, there's not a single upgrade on this machine that is worth getting for that difference in price. Yeah, it's not nearly as rare because it's an Aprilia, but that's also a good thing long term because we're talking about a bike that's got way better factory support, especially for parts and maintenance. Like, holy shit different. So, am I doing this deal? Fuck yes. Like, that's not even a question at this point. The question mark is going to come down to, when do I execute on it? Because as you all know, the government is still shut down, and we don't really know if we're getting a paycheck here on the 1st for the military. If we are, not even a question. Boom, paid, done. If we aren't, yeah, I might need a minute. But realistically, not a big deal at all. The other beauty is I get to keep this bike while I wait for the Tuono to show up, so it doesn't have to just go to them immediately. So yeah, overall, very good deal. Like, can't complain about it one bit. Pretty impressed, honestly. Austin actually made a good point too. All the aftermarket accessories that I have for this bike, it's a bigger pain in the ass to swap them out and sell them myself, especially in the MV market, than it is for me to just fucking swallow it and get over it. So, lesson learned in terms of how much money I did put into this bike overall. I really shouldn't have, but I did. It's one thing that I am really looking forward to having a Tuono is the fact that I'll have a gas gauge and a temperature gauge so I can know what the fuck is going on. This thing doesn't do that. Oh yeah, so fun fact, I'm down to like 10% battery-ish. So if this cuts out before I get home, apologies, but thanks so much for coming on this ride with me. Regardless, this was a hell of a learning experience, and it was a very different video from what I'm used to doing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We have made some very interesting moves in a very short period of time that I was not really expecting to do. But long term, I think this makes the most sense, especially from my sanity of riding a bike going into next season. Because, I mean, we get good enough days here in Colorado that I could probably ride this thing all year, but it would be substantially easier to do it on a semi-naked versus a sport bike, which is arguably a little harder to justify riding when the weather gets shitty. It was already kind of sketch this morning just freaking warming them up because it was a little chilly out. Yeah, no, what an interesting day. This was definitely supposed to be a much colder day than it ended up being. And I am super grateful for the fact the weather actually stayed nice, because I have been enjoying it for sure.